Nigerians continue to
Tonight,
travel
the
in
city
and
of
out
Lagos
of
waits
the
at the
still
dark
a poor
as
level
all
of
routes
to you on
Be the first to know.
on Core TV News.
From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa,
a federal high
we
court.
break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News,
Welcome to Core
a
TV News.
24-hour news station.
Hello, good morning. It's been 3 weeks now that the issue of a crisis in Edo House of Assembly has been going on. Precisely 3 weeks yesterday. And House members are still at loggerheads whether the House is able to suspend elected members. This matter went to the Federal High Court, and the High Court gave sort of a balanced situation where the issue of the House of Assembly members in Edo State is expected to maintain the status quo. Thus, the ruling from the High Courts, having vacated the issue of suspension of the members, still holds, even after the court refused to say whether the House have the right to suspend or not. Vacating that part of the petition, the Federal High Court did maintain that status quos should be returned to. Will the members agree to this or not? What happened yesterday at the gates of the House of Assembly was yet another story. Why our politicians should truly take a lesson from what happened in Ekiti. In Ekiti, after the elections over the weekend, we saw Governor John FEMI calling his opponent, who is the incumbent, the governor-elect as it is, and suggesting and saying that we as brothers must work together to lift Ekiti forward in his congratulatory message. What is going on in Edo State now brings to question why it is time Nigerians should toe the path of honor for those who are our honorable elected members of the House to really stick to that word, honorable. Ebon is with me this morning, and together we'll be rocking you through the program. Ebon?
Good morning, Sheyi, and good morning again. It's a beautiful one. You know, one thing about Nigeria and politics, just as we saw in papers, thank God you mentioned Ekiti. I think I would like us to start from there this morning because we're fond of starting from the negative side because the negative stories seem to be sweeter, seem to appeal to the ears more. I know that Edo State, as a matter of fact, all the lawmakers chose to be outside because the suspended ones actually blocked entrance into the complex.
Yes.
Exactly. But let's start from Ekiti, where it is actually spitting sweetness. You know, because if we can learn to emulate this, you know, losing is not a sweet thing. It is nobody wants to. But you know, there is victory at the end of it when you come out to say, yes, I know that this is what it is, and I'm congratulating you. There is nothing more to maturity than that.
Indeed, the incumbent governor did say to the governor-elect yesterday that, look, we have all traveled. We've all been to these places where we see the politics. We're trying to emulate their political trend and democracy for what it is. The evolution of our own democracy. It is time for us to start acting it right, doing what is right. The people have spoken, and the eventual effect of that is for me to accept what the people we are here to serve have agreed on the ballot papers. So
exactly.
he has done exactly what is expected. What he's done in climes away from here where democracy had lasted for this long. That is what we ought to be doing.
And
so,
the key
and
word is, yes,
the
the key word is serve. The question is if really this whole thing is about service to humanity.
Yes.
You know, we have groups like the Red Cross that
No,
people don't get paid for it. It's voluntary.
Absolutely.
And it's service to humanity. You scarcely find people fighting for posts in organizations like that. Because things, you know, you don't have so many benefits attached to it. Matter of fact, even if you have money, you have to put it in to help save the lives of people. And if politics is about the people, actually, I think this would form the crust of everything. And I think we're beginning to board. Our democracy is just 15 years, remember? Some have said we might be criticizing. But these climes that you referred to in other nations, some of their democracies have lasted over 100 years.
It is no excuse.
I know it is no excuse.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to be positive on this one. It might just be the burden of our democracy. It might just be the time where we see the rose coming out in its beautiful color for our democracy. Exactly. Well, because if one man can do it, I know that others would do it.
What I want to... what I would like to emphasize is a situation where majority of those who are participants in politics today are those who are normally out of this climb every now and again. I mean, they're there. Sometimes they will tell you, oh, we're having some legislative workshop abroad in some of these other countries. And they go for all of this workshop being told how things are done in a democratic dispensation. They go to some of the schools. If you ask a lawmaker, what are your legislative experience? What knowledge do you have? What background knowledge qualifies you to say you'll be able to do this job well? He will tell you he's been to the hallowed chambers in England, he's been to the House of Commons in England, he's been to the Congress in Washington, he's been to this and that, and, you know, to learn the processes, how these things work. And you wonder, what have you come back with? These are people, I mean, with some privy information here, these are people who have been to some of these, I mean, for instance, to England, you've had some of these House members, particularly, let's say, for instance, in Ekiti State, for instance, they went on a trip to the House in Scotland. And being in Hollywood, that is what the House, the Hallowed Chamber in Scotland is called. Being in Hollywood, the people were in there for 3 days, having intensive seminars and workshops on how rules and things are done. Edo State has been to the House of Commons, they've been to the Belfast Assembly, to say the Sinn Féin people, they've been to the Scottish Assembly, and toured round local governments, as a matter of fact. So they know how things are done.
But Sheyi,
so
do you also realize that things being taught might not be as practical as you expect them to be when you get back to your people? Because, matter of fact, these people are from among us. Some have even criticized our educational system. Because, exactly, because years back we had grammar school. What was the essence of grammar school? To teach Nigerians English. And so do we still need all of those now? Because our educational system is not necessarily patterned towards who we are as a nation. That is the stand of some people. Matter of fact, Nigerians, a people deserve the kind of leadership they have. Are we Scots? Are we English? We are Nigerians, for crying out loud. I'm not saying every politician in power has done well, but I am saying if someone has done well, we shouldn't say, oh, it's long overdue, they should have been doing this. We should encourage them so that others can do the same thing, don't you think?
Very well. Well, that is why we are pushing our lapses by saying we are an emerging democracy, right?
Aren't we?
Well, the fact speaks for itself. We are an emerging democracy. And at the same time, the evolution of our democratic dispensation within the last 15 years, when you ask people, how does it seem? Many a school of thought will tell you that this is just a civilian dispensation of sort, that the principles of democracy, which simply defines the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Does that apply?
Now, Shay, do you know that sometimes when you walk on the streets, you hear the expressions of common people on the street, the average Nigerian.
Yes.
And you hear things like, when this particular administration was in power, there was money. We had money flowing.
Okay, all right, okay.
We had money flowing. And another dispensation comes and you hear people judge, even if there are developmental pictures around and all of that, you hear, this government doesn't give money. You hear people say that. The question is, are we as a people ready for the democracy with so much paint on the pages of papers? Because it is not enough to criticize leaders. I am saying the little we have, this burden we have, we should celebrate it.
Okay.
No, we should celebrate it and
our mediocrity.
Encourage others, not mediocrity. I said, fire me in Ekiti State has done well. And so everybody should emulate. We should not pass it as common as, okay, this is what it is ordinary because this is what we expect in the first place. Of course, it needs celebration. You know why? Because in America, when it was time for Mitt Romney and Obama, it is what happens over there. Because elections have always been free, fair, and credible. But has that been the case in this part of the world? This is a place where, even though you know this candidate is right for you, but because you've been bribed, you change your mind. That's the people. But will an American do the same thing? So, for me, somehow, I don't think we should discard that saying that the leader of a people comes from among them. These people are not aliens. It is what we want, at least. Majority is saying what happened in Ekiti on Saturday is the voice of the people. And that is why we saw what happened.
Departure from the past.
From the past. And Fayemi himself is not even contesting it. In the papers this morning, it says he's not contesting the result. So I think, for one, let us not join this Western story of all negative about Nigeria.
No. I am not one for condemnation, and I don't slap my nation, or else I will not be back. I was one of those who Andrewed away in the days of Andrew checking out. I checked out, but all of those experiences
maybe we shouldn't have allowed you back.
All of those experiences put together, we can see that it is important for us to do things right.
Of course, yes.
Now we have a democratic dispensation which says this is how elected members have to behave. And issues of legislative procedures, house rules, must be taken seriously. When some people decided to vacate their seats and joined other parties, and those who did not join, those who went, who cross-carpeted, said those who did not join should be made to vacate the house. Is that the law, or is it the rule of the house? These are the issues that the court, in its wisdom, the Federal High Court, which the people in Edo State approached, in its wisdom, decided to be softly on the matter of, oh, yes, you can suspend your members. You have a right to suspend your members from activities in the House, because the court will not interfere with that. Because if the court does, it means you are cancelling a House rule, which is a democratic balance. It's as good as, is the nearest thing to the Constitution, as it were. So you cannot cancel the House rule, which is what the court is explaining to these honorable members, but says...
Why did you stress that honorable?
The topic is House of Assembly.
Yes.
A house.
A sharp
shame.
contrast from what
From
we
what
know these
every
people by
member
honorable.
are
Yes.
supposed to be honorable. Every member in the House of Commons are supposed to be the same level. That is why you are a member of the House of Commons. You are no longer of royalty. You are no longer of... Once you become a member of the House of Commons, you are equal with the people. And that dispensation is what we're saying. We now clone people to say they are honorable. And they came out of that clone to say, no, we're still as Jankara-ish as
Okay,
can be.
I think where the problem came from is, if I'm going by your words, is clone. Why must we clone people in the first place?
Indeed.
I think honorables should be honorables. Do you understand? I think that's where the problem starts from. Cloning people to be who
what
probably they were not. Do you understand? I'm not relating to this in particular, but if that is what we do all the time as a nation, you know, you cannot always change. Like someone said, you cannot take the spots away from the leopard. So if this is who you are, you can't possibly change who you are because of status. And you know, it's so saddening that it took the intervention of security agencies to actually prevent a free-for-all.
Yes.
A free-for-all. And so
yes.
what do you tell me as a common man if my honorables are actually pulling clothes to fight? What do you have to tell me?
We have seen this more than a few times happen in various dispensations happen in Edo State, because Edo State is vital. It's one of the vital areas of the South, as it were. So we cannot say or discountenance what goes on in these houses. But first and foremost, we want to say to all of our viewers that you can call in to expatiate on this house of shame, what we are beginning to see, considering that we are a global entity. What is happening here is being watched in New Zealand, for instance. What happens in Edo State last night is being known in New Zealand even few minutes afterwards. Call us on the telephone 01-631-0328. 01-631-0328. Let's know your views. This house of shame, how long should this continue?
And of course, you can reach us on Facebook. You can pass your comments just in case the lines are not coming through. We understand that it could be so congested sometimes, yes. So you can reach us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And you can send your tweets at our handle at CoreTV News NG. Of course, the YouTube is for you to see. You can stream live now. Just visit our website, www.coretv.com, and watch our videos on youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space before you type news. We so much appreciate your comment, and of course, we need them this morning. Let's see what you have to say about this whole thing. And remember that this 4 suspended members actually came to the house with an allegedly stolen maize.
Well, you know, they claiming the minority whip, who is Kingsley Egiamosoi, said the allegation of stolen maize was a faction of the imagination of the house. So the house cannot see it without the maize, because the maize is the authority of the house to carry out its functions. And the house was brought to these 4 minority, these are PDP minority members, as it were. And the minority leader was saying that it was the sergeant-at-arms that brought the maize to us. The speaker should confirm that from him. The sergeant-at-arms is an officer of the house. He's not an elected member. Is an administrative officer of the house that makes the functions of the house workable. So these are very important functions which the house cannot do without. So if the suspended members are claiming, or the minority members are claiming that the maize was brought to them of which the authority of the House had been brought to them for them to take the decision to suspend those who suspended them, which is why the court in its judgment, these are elected members, let's not forget, these are elected members asking them not to come back to the situation where the people, you and I, your votes that elected these people to say that you go to the House to make laws for the betterment of the state, to promote the effectiveness of what the laws the governors are making so that things can go well in Edo State. This is why we have elected you to go in there to do just that. And these people are saying, well, you want to deprive me of what the electorate put me here from? No, you won't do that. But they said, no, we're not saying that we're not suspending you as a member or kicking you out of the House, but we are using the rules of the House. The rules of every house has a house rule. And for instance, in this place, our house rule is we must start this program at a certain time. You're expected to be here, so am I. So the house rule is be this at this time. Don't do this and don't do that. So those are the issues being tackled that caused this anomaly. And yesterday, the police had to cordon off all of Airport Road, diverting traffic otherwise, because these people are doing acts which are inimical to being honorable. Why disturb traffic? Why close down the House of Assembly? Why fight each other? Why throw chairs? Let's not forget this is a place where chairs were thrown some time ago.
I think that is typical of houses of assembly in Nigeria. We know of that of Rivers some years back. But the question is, if the allegation is coming that the maize was stolen 2010, just because of this rowdiness too. There was an issue in 2010, we're talking about 10 years back, probably another, of course, another maize must have been used to replace, and because the House cannot sit without the maize.
No.
And now there is this allegation that the 4 suspended members came out with that old maize. The question is, was it hiding somewhere all the while? Was it a member of the House who stole the maize?
And there can be a new maize. The issue, yes, there can be a new maize.
But they've been sitting with one. So are you trying to say that is the fake?
Let's take precedence. We remember once that there was a Senate president by the name, Professor Chuba Okadigbo. When Chuba Okadigbo thought things were going haywire in the Senate with respect to an impeachment proceedings which he instigated, the maize disappeared. And when he was being asked what happened to the maize, he said it's in Ogbunige Cave. And it's being guarded by the oracle snake in Ogbunike Cave. You see, we've had problems understanding house rules. Everybody talks about the Constitution and what happens with it. Chuba, some of us grew up with Chuba Okadigbo. He was, I should call him, I was one of his mentees in the old days of Anambra State when he was a good lecturer, wonderful lecturer. And his brashness and voracious nature for making things happen his own way. With due respect, you don't speak ill of the dead. Chuba Okadigbo was an excellent, excellent human being. But he has his own way of getting things done as a comrade in those days. And when he took away the mace and said, well, what can you do to me? The mace is not here. Anybody who wants it can come to Ogbunike Cave. The mace is in the Ogbunike Cave. From Abuja to Ogbunike Cave, does that make sense? Is Ogbunike Cave the Senate chambers, that is the highest lawmaking legislative chamber in Nigeria, and to take the mace away from there? So these are the kind of knowledge a lot of us, in spite of his nobleness, he's a professor. He's a professor. In spite of his academic prowess, Would you say this man does not know the law? He doesn't know the simplicity of a rule of the House?
Exactly what we're saying in the Edo State House of Assembly case. And we know that the governor is even intervening, though this allegation of bringing party affiliations into everything, of course, we cannot separate that. We cannot separate that from the House of Assembly, because we have different party members, and in this case we have majorly two parties, which
Indeed.
is the APC and the PDP, and the governor accusing PDP now and saying this whole thing, this whole crisis in Edo State is coming from outside the state in a bid to destabilize.
Yes,
the
because
state.
a Senator Obande, who is representing Edo North Senatorial District, actually made that assertion a few days ago, saying that it was Abuja that is instigating the PDP members of the House to destabilize Edo State. However true or false that may be, it's speculative. It's speculative. We can say so from this end. But the people who are in it, the people of Edo State, of what benefit is that to them? You've had the best of both worlds and the worst of both worlds. But for how long do you continue to stall legislative matters so that the people you are supposedly serving are the targets? Because they are going, the fallout is going to be...
Matter of fact, it looks like the state is on standstill, because if legislators are not meeting, then
nothing happens.
Nothing happens. We've been talking about 4 suspended legislators. We have Honorable Festus Abia, Honorable Friday Ogeriaki, Honorable Jude Ide Isehe, and Honorable Patrick Osaime. And those have been the 4 suspended members. And of course, those... There's been allegations too. There have been allegations, rather, that the police actually facilitated the entry of these 4 into the house. Actually, we don't know which is true, because all these are but allegations.
Yeah, because you see, they are basing their coming back to the House on the Federal High Court granting return to status quo. And in effect, say return to status quo by the courts obviously means they should go back to the House. And they claiming they suspended the 19. The 19 haven't gone to courts. I mean, the 15, beg your pardon, the 15 APC members haven't gone to courts to say that no, or rather, they have been suspended. Now it is the minority suspending the majority. So there are 2 court orders. One says, let us respect the court order.
But here is one, Sheyi. The lawmakers penultimate week had obtained a court injunction restraining the 4 suspended lawmakers from attending sitting pending the determination of the case in court.
Indeed. So, that's the first order.
Exactly. And that has grounded legislative activities in Edo State.
That's correct.
The case is still there. Do you
Then
remember?
there is the Federal High Court. There is the Federal High Court, which now says...
we tilt to?
This is the problem with our legislators. You see, that was why I made the example of a professor who was a Senate president taken away. Are you saying he does not understand what is on paper, what ought to be in the House, or is this just the peculiarity of the Nigerian elite, political elite?
So it's a case where we have lawmakers
refusing
to obey the law. Okay,
I rest my case. We'll be back.
Digest, of course. We'll take a short break and we'll be back on the program. We'll be bringing you the news on the hour exactly at 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for being there.